The Harvest.
Good afternoon to you, Africa. This is Imene Nouad with the latest news from across the continent and the world. In Algeria, the town of Bni Abbas in Bishar province hosts official and popular celebrations marking the Amazigh New Year, Yennayer 2976. The multi-day program features cultural workshops, folklore performances, traditional crafts and exhibitions, and the Presidential Prize for Amazigh Language Literature. Algerian radio also organizes a special ceremony with artisans and associations from across the country, highlighting national identity and heritage. Report by Yasmin bin Ashwar.
To the rhythm of the duff drum and in an atmosphere full of joy and pride, the national radio turned into a festival space celebrating the rich Algerian cultural heritage on the occasion of the Amazigh New Year 2976. A moment that reflects the depth of history and the living memory of the Algerian people. From the very beginning, traditional music groups caught everyone's attention. The scene was led by elderly women wearing colorful Amazigh traditional clothing, creating a touching image of wisdom and the passing of heritage from one generation to another. The celebration was not only about music. The radio halls were decorated with exhibitions of traditional Algerian clothing, especially Amazigh outfits that showed the diversity of regions and the richness of cultural symbols. Each piece seemed to tell a story from a long and a proud history. Traditional dishes, especially the couscous, fill the air with their delicious smell, along with other local foods. These meals were presented in clay and wooden pots used for generations, showing the deep connection between Algerians, their land, and their traditional crafts. The soft lights of candles, decorated with pure Amazigh symbols, added warmth and beauty to the celebration. This celebration was not just a simple event, but a true cultural moment, through which the national radio showed its role in preserving and promoting national heritage and in strengthening unity and diversity. It carried a clear message: Amazigh culture is a key part of Algeria's shared identity. Yennayer, the feast of the land and the people, is a yearly moment of loyalty to history where the past and the present meet in a spirit of pride and belonging.
Shifting from cultural heritage to political scene in Africa and Benin, vote counting begins after the closure of polling stations following legislative and municipal elections held on January 11th. The process unfolds calmly amid reinforced security introduced after a failed coup attempt last December. Observers, party representative and civil society monitors attend the counting, with official results expected today and tomorrow. Political analyst Moïse Balagizi, talking with Samar Hamadi, says the vote is key test for political stability. Let's hear to some part or two of what he said.
The current vote in Benin takes place in a particularly delicate political context. Very delicate indeed, as this election occurred shortly after a failed coup attempt in December 2025, which clearly shocked the political climate and revealed how fragile institutional trust can be, even in a country long seen as a stable democracy in West Africa. The current political landscape is marked by the exclusion of much of the opposition, especially the main opposition parties, the Democrats, who were prevented from participating in the upcoming presidential election in April 2026 due to sponsorship rules and contested judicial decisions. This situation weakens political pluralism and competition, as without a strong and visible opposition, voters may perceive the elections as illegitimate.
The BDS movement in Morocco strongly condemns what it describes as Makhzan's regime continued blatant collusion with the Zionist entity. In a statement, the movement says authorities ignore the Moroccan public's rejection of the normalization with what it calls criminalization entity. In Western Sahara, the Sahrawi Association of Human Rights Defenders condemned what it calls a targeted attack against activist Khadija Toudou in occupied Laayoune. The group says Moroccan occupation forces deliberately vandalized her vehicle as part of a systematic intimidation against Sahrawi voices. Shifting to Mali, terrorists suspected of belonging to the so-called Al-Qaeda organization attacked several factories in Kais region in the west of the country. The targeted industrial units are owned by Malian and Indian businessmen amid an expanded fuel blockade imposed by armed groups since last September. More on this attack with Widad Alawa.
At the center of the Sahel, Mali is facing a critical moment. According to local sources, between 150 and 200 heavily armed attackers arriving on motorcycles launched the assault. Split into two groups, they attacked and set fire to factories, causing extensive material damage. For months, the capital Bamako, long seen as the final anchor of stability in a country torn by conflict, has been effectively surrounded by the so-called Al-Qaeda affiliated group. The blockade has paralyzed daily life, fuel is scarce, schools are closed. Data from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project reveals a sharp escalation in violence in Mali between 2012 to 2019. During the period of democratic governance, the country registered 787 terrorist attacks that claimed 2,119 lives. In contrast, from 2020 to 2024, under military rule, Mali saw more than 4,100 incidents and nearly 8,900 fatalities. The Al-Qaeda-linked group announced for over 80% of these attacks. Unless decisive action is taken, the risk of a wider regional destabilization is indeed potential, with repercussions that will extend beyond the Sahel region.
In Sudan, Prime Minister Kamil Idris announces the full return of the government to the capital Khartoum after nearly 3 years of displacement due to war. The Prime Minister pledges to prioritize reconstruction and the restoration of basic services. International solidarity with Somalia continues amid growing security and humanitarian challenges. Several countries and organizations reaffirmed their support for Somalia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Defense Minister Ahmed Maalem Fiki calls on the Zionist occupation to withdraw recognition of the so-called Somaliland, warning of plans for forced displacement of Palestinians to the region. Let's hear what he said.
In fact, the Federal Republic of Somalia views this decision as a serious and explicit violation of the principles of international law and a direct attack on the sovereignty of a member state of the United Nations. Israel has ambitions. The confirmed information we have indicates that it seeks to relocate Palestinians who are persecuted on their own land to this region. Another objective is the establishment of a military base to destabilize the area. As for the steps Somalia aims to take in response to this decision, Somalia is a state that respects international law. We will address this development through legal channels, and we also commend the position of regional and international organizations that have supported us. If Israel attempts to set foot on any part of Somalia territory, we will take all available measures and we will not stand idly by. I stress here that Somalia will not allow any part of its land to be turned into a platform threatening regional or international security.
The United Nations warns of escalating attack against the humanitarian workers in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs records 626 incidents nationwide in 2025, with eastern regions facing the highest risk due to armed groups and road closures. In sports, Ghana's Ministry of Sport and the Confederation of African Athletics signs a memorandum to host the African Senior Athletic Championship in May 2026. Concluding with football news, as the Confederation of African Football opens an investigation into incidents during the quarterfinals of the Total Energies AFCON Morocco 2025, as CAF condemns unacceptable behavior by some players and officials during the Cameroon, Morocco and Algeria-Nigeria matches, with possible sanctions pending disciplinary review. That's all for today's Harvest. Thank you for paying attention to the fullest. It was directed by Muad Ahmed, observed by Malika, control board with Yusuf, and streaming with Islam. And a big thank you for the editing room for their work. And you keep tuning to Ifriqiya FM, the voice of Africa.